So that's a great question. And one of the things that, just from speaking from experience during the pandemic, at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, we started a online Zoom for Hispanic members of with cystic fibrosis who are often unrepresented and don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking in a medical setting because they don't feel that they're being understood or can communicate as well. And so what and how are the calibrated questions that we like to use. We don't like to use why. Remember to start with what and how. Those are thought-provoking questions. How would you like to proceed is a great one. And I know it's simple, but it's a wonderful way to kind of get someone else's vision. What are your thoughts on A, B, and C? And then just listen is the biggest part of this. Because they're going to give you information, and that's when we sprinkle in the other skill sets like labels and mirrors to really dive deep into why they feel that way and what the world looks like from their point of view. And they're going to give you much more information about themselves, which is valuable information for as a team member or as a provider or as an advocate. It's a great question.
So one of the things about the calibrated questions to me is, and this actually happened to my wife yesterday. She was at an event, and after the meeting, she turned to one of the guys in the event and says, "What are you doing after this meeting is over?" And she hit him with a calibrated question. His first response was, "Why? What do you need?" And I started laughing because I said, "There you go." Their immediate response is, how much more work are you going to put on my plate? Or why are they asking for this? What is their ulterior motive? Or what are they saying? So we've gone more to labeling. Label sounds like you have a lot of work to do after this is over. And they're going to just immediate response, no, I got time, free time.
I just came back from babysitting. It's less than part-time money. And we've spoken briefly about my mission. Part of that mission is these recipes becoming commercially available. And so instead of getting a job, which for what I want to do, the best job would be sales, to become a good salesperson. So I'm going all in on my brand, and this audio that you can hear is from a sales training business or company headed by Chris Voss, who is an ex-FBI hostage negotiator for 20 years. He created this company called the Black Swan Method. And he uses FBI negotiation tactics, which he updated using neurophysiology. And so, to avoid my schoolwork, I'm doing everything else. Because I don't necessarily enjoy that, but I'm doing it so that my father, he'll be placated for now until I'm making enough money that I can rent this building out, which is what my pipe dream is, to turn this place into a natural health center. If you look on the locations, it says Life Food Certified. That's my certification as a chef, and I updated it to say Life Food Certified Natural Health Center, I think. Let's see. Anyway, so yeah, I'm putting together these custom boxes, and I'll show you, how they're gonna package. Anybody watching Rainbow, especially you, and also anybody else watching now live, type in the chat if you want me to send you a box. It's not going to be a huge box because half of these are already promised out. There's about 100 pretzels, and half of them are going to Cherry. I'm going to send a box to Rick, and I'll send a box to anybody who's watching.
And then they'll want to know, and it's more of an immediate response versus thinking about, why are they asking me this question? And is it something that I'm going to want to do? How much more work is it going to add to my plate? So we've gotten away from more of the calibrated questions. Even on our team, if we have to talk in the afternoon, we have an afternoon session, we hit each other with more labels. Because when we hit each other with calibrated questions, you're fatigued and you're not thinking clearly. And the last thing you want to do is have to think about your response.
This is a metabolism killer. This is a metabolism killer.
So what I did was I went to the search on YouTube and I typed in sales training Black Swan to see what they have on their site. Oh, that's nice. You got this. Oh, thanks, Rainbow. What a gem you are. I'm really, I don't know the right word, enchanted that you've come. You know, I hope you stay. Not on the YouTube, I just mean in general. I'm probably gonna make it hard though. And that wasn't a sexual innuendo. Ew.
Need you to wave a magic wand. That was the approach I used to retrieve and find my lost suitcase in the airport. And when the woman who went and moved mountains for me to get my luggage came back walking up to me, she gave me a high five and said, "How's that for waving a magic wand?" Now here's how this went down. I'm back at my home airport after a long day of travel. Now it's been a direct flight, so there's no way that my suitcase has been lost in a transition between the airports. I'm standing outside the luggage carousel and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and my suitcase doesn't show up. There's this other poor guy beside me standing there waiting as well. And I gotta walk over to the luggage services office where nothing but angry people who are tired and worn out walk into, and they're demanding, and they act like they think that the people inside have magic wands, right? Now I'm not in a bad mood because I'm back home. I'm at my home airport. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep that night. I'm happy to be home. I got an 8-sleep mattress at home, which changes temperatures. It gives me an awesome night's sleep. So even now, even though that it's been a long day, I'm kind of in a playful, happy mood. Now this happens to be the key to this entire negotiation, the fact that I was playful about it. So when I walk into the luggage services office, and just as I'm walking in, for whatever reason, I think to myself, I bet these people are saying to themselves, these people think we got magic wands. The lady behind the counter says, "How can I help you?" Which, in point of fact, it's pretty obvious how she could help me. There's no other reason I'd be walking in there.
Okay. We'll go back to it. So here's the dehydrator. And shoot. I miscalculated. Oh man. Maybe I didn't. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be the width, and it's 3 inches. I thought it would be thick enough. But it looks like I'm gonna have to go let's see, now we got height. So the thickness is 3 inches, approximately, and the height is another 3 inches. Alright, and I'm gonna go, because the cardboard has a bit of a thickness, I'm gonna go 3.5 inches. Exciting, right? I can see the chat on the computer, so if there's something you want to chat about, let me know. So we got 3 inches.
Than the fact that my suitcase is lost. Now here's what they're dealing with on a regular basis. People that are angry as bees, walking in tired and exhausted, frustrated and upset and unhappy, and blaming them personally for stuff they actually had nothing to do with, but somebody else screwed up. This is a tough job for these people, and it's a very difficult position to be in on a regular basis. So for whatever reason, I'm taking this into account, which is why in my head, I hear what they're saying to themselves. I say, I need you to wave a magic wand. And I'm upbeat and playful about it. She looks at me and she says, let me see the luggage tag. I show her the receipt that's got the number on it. She says, it says it's here. And I go, well, yeah, it ain't, because I've been waiting by the luggage carousel. Well, she comes around from behind the counter and heads for the luggage carousel. Now, I have never seen any of these people do this before. They normally just sit back there and take a number and say, wait a little while. And believe me, my suitcases have been lost plenty of times, and I've got a lot of experience with this. So as we're headed for the carousel, she says, what's your suitcase look like? And I said, it's this one's big brother. I've got matching sort of loud green suitcases that are easy to spot. And I've got big white duct tape stripes on them to make them stand out even more with my name written on it. I've got it in black letters on the big white stripes so that you can spot my suitcase from 100 yards away, which is really handy, and it diminishes the chances that anybody's going to walk off with it by accident. She says that to me. She said, what if somebody walked away with this by accident? And I said, you know, it's not likely, because my name is all over it. I got big white stripes on it. Nobody's going to take it by accident. So she walks over to the luggage carousel and steps up on top of it and walks down the ramp that the luggage comes out of, which is not a person ramp, because it's only designed for suitcases to come up and not for people to walk down. And I see her stick her head down inside and look around. Now, I've got no idea what's going on down there, but somebody once told me later that it looks like a super highway of luggage conveyor belts underneath there, and it's just crazy the way it looks, the way everything is organized under the airport. And she has walked down and looked through here to see if she can see it from there. So she comes back up and she looks at me and she says, wait here. And she heads for a door a little ways away. And I'm standing there waiting and waiting. And so is this other poor guy who's waiting on his suitcase. And we stand there for a little while. And pretty soon the luggage carousel starts up again and starts rotating. And a few moments after that, his suitcase and my suitcase come out. Now I'm astonished. Again, this has never happened before. Normally these people don't come out of the office at all. So I'm standing there waiting. I'm just happy as a clam. I'm amazed at what this woman has done for me. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And she doesn't come back. And finally, I gotta go. So I look at one of her colleagues who also happens to be standing there working. And I say, you tell this woman, thank you very much for me. I appreciate everything that she did for me. And I turn and I start to head for the door. About the same time, she finally comes out the door that she had disappeared into before. And as we pass each other, she looks at me with a big smile and gives me a high five and says, now how's that for waving a magic wand? The key to this whole thing was empathy and attitude. You know, I was just playful about this, and you're 31% smarter in a positive frame of mind. You're really much more effective as a negotiator, better thinker when you're playful and you're approachable. You know.
Hey Londos, you just came in at the right time. I'm learning that I'm a more effective negotiator when I'm playful and approachable. What took you so long, bro? What took you so long to get here? Me and Rainbow been waiting for you. It was too it was too cordial. It was too nice in here, bro. Thankfully you walked in. Now we can get down to brass tacks. What are you doing with all these pretzels? I was telling Rainbow about how people have been telling me to get a job. And I was watching a video this morning, and the guy said, if people have dreams for you which are smaller than your dreams for yourself, you cut them out. You cut them out, Londos. You telling me to get a job? And here I am learning sales tactics from the lead FBI negotiator for 20 years so that I can sell Master Lukey brand more effectively. And that's my job. I'm in the mailroom right now, though. I'm actually an intern. I'm not even getting paid. I'm a free intern for my own business. Where has this Lukey been hiding? You know what happened, Rainbow? To be honest, I'm just gonna get serious for a second. This was the worst winter of my life. Physically, health-wise. I believe there's a natural gas leak. And, you know, it's really taken its toll on me. I moved up from the basement. And the basement's moldy. And now what is that sound? Oh, it's a charger. And now I'm on the 3rd floor, and the natural gas leak is wafting up into my lungs all day, every day, or especially at night when I'm sleeping. So I think now that the weather broke and it's getting warmer, you're going to see a better me. Also, you could say maybe there's something in the cosmos, you know, the progression of me as a planet through space. Along my path, I went through a period. Certainly relationships had their effect. You know, I recently came into contact with somebody who, you know, woke something up inside of me that you know, altered my perception, my perspective, and that's been a blessing. Let's see. What does this have to do with sales? Okay. This was called the #1 phrase to make people move mountains for you. And he just said that he got a lady to go above and beyond by telling her he needed her to to wave a magic wand. Rainbow, you got a magic wand? I do. Cherry says, I just finished lunch. The doctor wants me to go on high blood pressure meds. I don't want to, but the pressure is high. They check once in a while. I think it's the food here. That's true, comma. I think if you look into it, hold on. How do I say it's because of the animal products? But they don't have healthy vegetarian food either. I'm just gonna put that's true 100%. I feel bad for Cherry. I wanna save her by, bringing her here. And making all her food for her. You got the biggest and best team in spirit that backed me 100%. I know what you're saying. It's so awesome.
People off. And the empathy on this? Well, what is somebody saying? What's going through their brain when they lay eyes on you? What are they thinking? What do they see you as, kind of? What's the defensive nature of theirs? The number of people that walk into these offices and act as if these people inside have magic wands. They got to be saying to themselves, these people think we got magic wands. And that's just what I said in a playful manner. I have never seen anybody work as hard for anybody before as I saw this woman do. In the lost suitcase luggage, the luggage services office, never seen this before. This woman was astonished. I didn't name the airline or the airport on purpose. But miss, if you ever see this, please know that you have my eternal gratitude for how much of a wonderful person you are.
I've been thinking a lot about starting my own business, but the thing is, I'm not really sure what I'm passionate about, and I want to do something that's meaningful, something that really resonate with every.
If you have at least 50,000.
Londo's has a bachelor's and I guess Londo's, what you're saying is that you are more qualified to teach sales than the lead hostage negotiator for the FBI. Interesting. Because he has a whole business that teaches sales, like to companies. So I think what you're saying, let's see, is a joke. I think you're joking. Shit, I'm not using the same tactics that I'm trying to learn here. I'm getting triggered. He must be joking and Londos, you got me again. I'll give you credit, man. You're a pretty good troll. I gotta remember, nobody could actually think the way that you claim to troll me. Okay, let's see here. You can befriend anyone. Ooh. You can befriend anyone with this.
Haitian kidnappers are not killing kidnap victims these days. I realize it's really stupid because they kill each other at the drop of a hat, but for whatever reason, they're not killing kidnap victims. Now, today is Thursday, and Haitian kidnappers love to party on Saturday night.
Oh boy.
If you say the things I want you to say when I want you to say them, we will have you sun out late Friday or early Saturday morning. He said to me, tell me what you want me to do. And we had his son out Saturday morning. So let me dig into a little bit of what I said, and as importantly,
What I didn't say.
what I didn't say. Because right after somebody asks you, how are you going to help me? To themselves, they ask that about you. The next thing they wonder is, do you have any idea what I'm faced with? Do you have any idea what my challenges are? Are you, what is the depth of your lack of knowledge? I get approached by consultants all the time and people that want to do business with me, and they want to start out the conversation with, how can I help you? How do you think it would have gone if I'd have said to that father on the phone, how?
He calls it tactical empathy. That's his strategy for sales, for negotiation. Hold on, I got a boogie. You found me at my worst, Rainbow. Lucky. It's only up from here. You bought a stock at its lowest. Get ready for a bull run. Get ready for a bull run, Rainbow. And I'm the bull.
Help you. It would have thrown him into a tailspin. He'd have said, I have no...
Hostage negotiation for sales, Lundos. Cutting edge. This ain't your old dusty books from England. This is American ingenuity and proven facts. It's like you got to put your gi away and watch UFC instead if you really want to know how to fight. Oh, get wrecked!
How oblivious are you to the situation? And when I'm approaching how dumb you are, how oblivious are you to the situation? And when I'm approaching business on a regular basis, if somebody says to me, how can I help you? I say, I have no idea of what you don't know. Your lack of knowledge could be this abyss. And I don't know that I have time to educate you. I don't even know if you've taken the time to learn anything at all when you say, how can I help you? I'm completely thrown into a tailspin by that. Here's what you're up against. And then I began to outline to the father what he was up against. I began to demonstrate an understanding of the environment from the very beginning. Now, you want one of two things with this response, and one of them scares you to death. The first one you love. When a solid gold response from anybody in an interaction is, that's right. When you get it right, and that's a demonstration of empathy, a demonstration of understanding, an articulation of understanding. Here's what you're up against. And that's what I said to this father. Here's the environment you're faced with. I didn't, by the way, give him any answers. I began to demonstrate my understanding of his environment. And when you get it right, somebody says, that's right, or they say, tell me what you want me to do. Now, here's what scares you to death. What if I get it wrong? Oh my God. What if I'm wrong? And then they correct me. I'll be embarrassed. Empathy empathy, like every other aspect of a human interaction and every other part of human communication, is not about you. How you're reacting to this and how they're reacting to it are vastly different worlds. And this is one of the great examples. You get corrected, you're embarrassed or even humiliated. Die of embarrassment is a phrase and a reaction globally. And globally, people would prefer death to embarrassment. There's been no shortage of surveys about public speaking universally. Would you rather die or would you rather give a public speech? What are you most afraid of? And many people around the world choose death to giving a public speech. Give that some thought. That's hysterical. That's insanely hysterical. But this is what embarrassment does to us. I die of embarrassment. But what is it to the other side when they correct you? They're helping you. Correction is one of the most satisfying emotions out there. And again, please wrap your mind around, it's not what it is to you, it's what it is to them. You're humiliated if they're correcting you. They're helping you. They're bonding with you. It's extremely satisfying to correct. And when they're helping you and bonding with you, you're establishing a relationship. Great relationships are not about dominance. Great relationships, if you can wrap your mind around how much power there is in deference. Deference is a superpower. And getting people to correct you is one of the great emotional intelligence tricks of mankind. Many of the people we train in my negotiation training and the courses that we teach and the coaching that we do, we teach people to intentionally be wrong on a regular basis.
Intentionally wrong. How long should I make this though? You're gonna think that I'm making a sexual innuendo, but how long is a big enough package to ship my pretzels? Rainbow, if I was gonna give you one of these, how long? I can't. I'm thinking. Oh man. I'm thinking 6 inches, but I'll probably make longer one. I can't. If I was gonna give you my pretzels, how big of a package would be big enough? Oh God, I'm just kidding, kinda. Let's see, I'm gonna go with actually 7 inches. Lucky 7. Depends on how much you want to give away. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna go with lucky 7.
When someone corrects them, it's so satisfying that they feel bonded to you. And the bonding process to exert trust-based influence, which is the most lasting and durable type of influence,
Scratch that. 6. I'm gonna give you 6 inches. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Oh my God. This is not a kid's program. A 6-inch package, Rainbow. Hope it's enough. Oh man.
Shortcuts
6 inches is too short?
is to get people to correct you. They love it. They begin to look out for you. They want to help you. It's eminently satisfying for them as soon as they start to correct you. So intentionally trigger people to correct you. be willing to get it right, and as a matter of fact, be willing to get it wrong on purpose on a regular basis, and that's why you want to begin to lay out your understanding of the situation, because you're either going to impress them with your acumen, or they're going to correct you and they're going to bond with you, which is exactly what you want.
I'm doing 9. I'll do the first
Hey,
one 9.
if your partner is being secretive with their phone, you need to do this now. Most people are unaware this simple.
I'm just sitting in my car waiting for a friend of mine to go hiking, and I was thinking to myself, why is it that so few people
That's how you influence a sale. Oh man, you got me. Good one. Frame your questions this way to land clients.
My presentations in the home take about 2 hours. When we do this online, it's like eternity. So listening to what you're saying, if I'm with somebody online, it seems like it should go like this. You know, you accusation audit or a joke, and then collect data. So when I'm in person, I ask the question, what problem do you want to solve by agreeing to meet with me today? And that's how I collect that data. But I can see them, you know, I'm with the husband and wife. And so this is a lot more challenging because I want to be able to reduce that time online, because I don't believe they, at 65, you know, they just don't like being on there. And so it just seems like if I do like an icebreaker with a joke, then go for 20 minutes, stop, take a little bit of a break. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what questions do you have?
Have you got our proof of life training?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's a whole separate issue. But, you know, developing a profile, start pulling the data before you go into any of these meetings of the high points of the characteristics of the people you're meeting with, and track that as to how long it takes you to close a deal and how many of them close. First. Secondly, one of two things opens people up. Either the question, what problems were you trying to solve by agreeing with me? That's a good what question. You have to have an asking label as an alternative. And an asking label for that would be, seems like you had some problems in mind, which led you to agree to meet with me. Now, I will tell you that the asking label is more likely to open them up. Now, there's a variety of reasons why that is, which is why we coach the asking label so exclusively now. If I ask you a what question, it triggers slow thinking, what Danny Kahneman would call slow in-depth thinking.
Wow.
So if it's a question, if it's a calibrated question, what is a good word to start with? You got to have the bandwidth to answer. You got to have enough gas in the tank. And they might not have enough gas in the tank. Secondly, any question triggers a certain amount of defensiveness / contemplation on the other side. Oh, he asked me what question? I got to come up with a good answer. Let me think about this, how I can come up with a great answer.
All right.
Versus the asking label bypasses the guard up mechanism, the prefrontal cortex, comes around the side door, opens the side door up, much more likely to tap directly into somebody's thinking, much more likely to get a complete, unvarnished download stream of consciousness.
6 and 7 is
They don't
13.
realize they've been asked a question. They're more likely to begin to answer. This is such a huge difference in responsiveness that we've had clients refer to asking labels as unlocking the floodgates of truth talk. even when they were really good at asking what questions. Now, thirdly, I will tell you, if you don't get a good response, or if they throw it back on you, you're the fool in the game. You're not going to get the deal.
Ew.
They're there to pump you for free consulting. And their preferred provider is either status quo, which is no movement at all, or should you come up with some good ideas, they're either going to implement them themselves, or they're going to make sure the person they're going to go to is going to implement them. Vision drives decision. The asking label triggers the vision in their head. If there is no vision in their head, then they went into the meeting with no intention of continuing with you.
Wow. So
And that's the Cliff Notes versions of the proof of life training. That coupled with our half training is much more in depth, but that's what I'll give you to work with for right now. There's a lot more there, But that's how you get started on that. 20%, no less than 20% of your presentations, you're never going to get. How do you sort them out? Brad.
All right, no, that's all really fantastic. And so I'm going to talk, Alan, in a very general sense. My purpose in this approach is to really add some thoughts for everyone and the whole spectrum. So first things first, based on what you described with the sales presentation, it sounds like it's geared to educate whoever's on the receiving end of the presentation, that it's geared to educate them. Negotiation is not an educational environment. And so that's the first thing that worries me. And in sales, you're taught to explain the proposition and explain the value. That's what they teach you. And unfortunately, when we do that, and I say we because all my background is in sales before Black Swan, when we do that, not only are we infringing on the autonomy of the counterpart, we are ignoring the things that are top of mind for them, actively ignoring them. Because it's not like, save your questions till the end because I need to get through what I got to say, right? That's what we're doing to people. So that's the first part. The environment is they feel talked at, and we're actually trying to influence. And it's hard to influence when people feel talked at. The other piece, you did a great job explaining the mindset of everyone you speak to. And the problem is I didn't hear you talk about the accusations audit that lays all that out. And I think we all fall victim to this, where we can explain, well, this is what they're thinking. They're thinking this, and they're having trouble with Zoom, and they're annoyed by the pandemic, and their time is valuable. And then the accusations audit that we use on them doesn't encompass any of that. And it's about mitigating negative emotions. If we know they're negative emotions, rely there, start with that. Like, I know Zoom's a pain in the ass. I imagine you guys can't wait until we get back in person. You don't have to deal with all this stupid technology and trying to figure out if your mute button's on or not, or whether or not you can hear somebody, right? You know what, Alan, that's exactly right. I hate getting on Zoom. And so that's actually where the accusations are to start, because the top of mind negative for them is, damn it, I got to get on another one of these Zoom calls with another one of these salespeople. And so that's where we start. And then the other thing is, this is going to sound crazy. If I was coaching you, my first thing would be throw your presentation in the garbage. And let's work on one sheet that is designed.
With the Mint Mobile family plan, any two people can join and get the lowest price of $15 a month. Even me and my agent.
Wait, hold up. You think of us as family?
Oh, God, no. I consider you a very dear paid acquaintance.
you're hovering. Wondering if you click buy or book, is your personal info going to be safe? With all-in-one protection from McAfee Plus, it can be. So, however you connect online, your identity, privacy, and devices can be secure with worry-free protection for the whole family. Protect your everything with McAfee Plus.
McAfee, huh?
Only do information gathering that's only guided discovery. Because the other thing, right, like I mentioned earlier, they got questions. They're talking to you because they got things they want you to answer. And so putting that in your accusations audit or finishing with it, I know you guys, Zoom sucks. I'd imagine you guys don't want your time wasted. You probably came here with very specific issues, questions, thoughts, however you want to phrase it in your mind. Is it a problem if we start with the things that are top of mind for you? Oh, no, not at all. Here's the 3 things I want answered. Bang, bang, bang. You answer all 3. Alan, we're going to do business with you, brother. And now you've been on the phone for less than 30 minutes. And nobody feels this drawn out process 3 hours later. Like, and this is, and I this speaking from personal experience too. There's a company called Power that I've had do some work on my house since I've been here. Love the company, love their model. Every salesperson that has come in the door to present something to me, I've literally said to them, let's just skip to X. I don't need to know about your history. I don't need to know about your accolades in the Better Business Bureau. That's why you're in my house, because you have all those things, and I don't need you to spend an hour telling me about them. And they still go there because they're so rehearsed on delivering their presentation that they still go there. And I try not to get annoyed because I want to say, look, if you mention your Better Business Bureau rating to me again, I'm going to ask you to leave. You haven't answered any of my questions yet. And like, these are the things that are building up in my mind. I imagine I'm not the only person on the planet that feels that way. And so, I'm like, I wish they would just ask me, it seems like you got a question, Mr. Boss. Like, I wish they would start there. And so, feel free to go. You want to gather information, right? We all want to gather data. Why are we wasting time opening the door to gathering the data? Right? What causes us to delay the process? So let's just dive right in. I know you don't want your time wasted. I know you hate Zoom. You'd prefer that we didn't have to be on this platform for very long to complete this issue or our transaction. Is it a problem if we start with what's top of mind for you? Sure, let's go there first, right? And so, right, that can be adapted for any interaction, but feel free to use that. But great questions, Alan, because we're all plagued by this stuff, especially when we come to the table and the understanding is we are the content expert. And we're here because everyone at the table needs our knowledge. So we must explain what the problem is. And that's the only part of logistically where we get out of alignment with mindset of our counterparts. You might be the content expert. It's just execution-wise, right? We sequence it differently. But that's a great question, man. Everybody has played with that stuff.
There it is, first one. All right. Okay. Stop selling and start closing deals. How to keep their attention. Ooh. How to keep their attention.
There is a specific design with this label. It's not an accident that it starts with the word it. It is the most neutral way you can make an observation. If you drop in the word you or the I, in any point in time in here, it creates a different emotional response. I'll prove it to you. When I was an FBI agent, I wanted to become a hostage negotiator. When I finally qualified to get the opportunity to go down to Quantico, I wasn't really enthusiastic about going to Quantico because I knew that I was going to be there for 2 weeks. I was going to be there over a weekend, and Quantico's a boring place to be over the weekend. There ain't nowhere to go, there ain't nothing to do. And I wasn't that enthusiastic about it, but I got down there, and I didn't know, but it was the only in-service the FBI had where there were hostage negotiators from across the country and from all over the world. And I was immediately introduced and became a member of this international negotiation community that I didn't even know existed. And then while I was there, I started hearing about these guys and gals from the FBI that flew all over the world and working kidnappings. And I kind of heard whispers of these guys and rumors of these guys. And then I found out that these guys were on a SINT team. And after you became a negotiator, I might get a chance to be on the SINT team. And by the time the negotiation course was over, I knew I wanted to be on the SINT team. Now let me tell you the same story. When you're an FBI agent and you want to become a hostage negotiator, you find out that you finally get lined up to go down to Quantico, and you're not too enthusiastic about going to Quantico. Quantico's a boring place. There's not much for you to do over the weekend. But you get down there and you find out that there are negotiators from across the country and from around the world. And suddenly you are a member of an international negotiation community you didn't even know existed. And then when you're there, you start hearing about these guys and gals that are hostage negotiators with the FBI, and they fly all over the world working kidnappings, and you know.
I don't want it to shake around inside.
Now, the second story felt different, and I changed from an I story to a you story. And every time I used I, it was a distraction, it was a thought interrupt that brought the attention back to me, which under the right context is effective. But this ain't it. But I tell the story again differently. You, and I bypass that part of your brain that I was hitting with I, and I get into your limbic system a little more directly, and I start triggering thoughts, and I start triggering your thinking in a completely different way by using you. So you is an engaging word that reaches out and touches you ever so gently each and every time I use it. So was I, it pulled a different sort of distraction. That's why we very specifically begin to design this from a very neutral point of view, because when I say it, I hit your brain in a different way and I trigger a different kind of thought pattern, and you're immediately reacting to the seems, sounds, feels, followed by the label. If I hit you, the intention is to hit you in a different way. I can say, I know you're angry, and you feel that I get it. Or I can say, what I'm hearing is you're angry. And right then you think you're an idiot. So completely different design, and why we do not teach people to say what I'm hearing is, to feed it back. And that is one of the biggest, most frequent thing that a lot of people that have been trained in therapy and psychology and psychiatry, what I'm hearing is that this has been bothering you for a very long time. And you were just turned off by that right away. Because that statement is, I'm a lot more interested in how I see this than how you're reacting. So there's a very intentional design. There's a lot of word choice here. Do not be fooled by the simplicity of this. It's designed to hit your brain in very specific ways.
Reveals how celebrity.
Yeah, Londos, I packed it in tight to prevent breakage. I'm also, I guess, gonna ship it as fragile. But I don't see this making it in one piece, to be honest. I mean, it'll all be in there. That's the best we could do, I guess. How could you ship this otherwise? Thinking like individual trays, individual plastic trays maybe. That might be the only way. When it becomes a worldwide mass-produced brand, maybe. For now, this is how we're going to do it.
Charge their metabolism at home with an easy.
This is a derivation. This is a deal-making stairway, and it's a derivation of the behavioral change stairway that was written with the FBI Crisis Negotiation Unit. Principal author was Gary Nessner, the former head of the Crisis Negotiation Unit. He had input from Steve Romano and the other people that he was working with at the time. But this was about human nature back then, and it still is about human nature now. So the deal-making stairway, the stairway to deal-making, to influence, if you will. All right, so at the bottom is the negotiation 9, the negotiation 9 skills. And this is the steps up to the stairway. Now this starts out with empathy. Deployed empathy, actually demonstrating understanding. It's not having understanding is enough, it's demonstrating that understanding. Our skills will be enhanced by things such as a likable demeanor. You're 7 times more likely to make a deal with somebody you like. So being likable enhances your ability to make deals and have empathy. Cold read. What's the read of the situation? How do we assess it walking in? Not how do we wish it would be, but how do we recognize that it is? And with the read of the situation and a likable demeanor, how are we going to prepare? How are we going to prepare in order to get ourselves to have influence? Now the next step after empathy is developing rapport. And many people equate liking with rapport, and liking can be an element of rapport, but real solid rapport, two-way street of communication is much stronger than that. What we're trying to do is, after we have demonstrated empathy, is get it reciprocated. That's the next step. And how do we know when empathy is going to be reciprocated? When the other side says, that's right. Those are the solid gold words. Your right is horrible. Your right is dismissive, putting you off. It's them refusing to accept ownership in what was just said. It's a concession. There's so many things that are wrong with your right. The critical words, make no mistake, are that's right. Empathy has been reciprocated. Stephen Covey's advice to us: seek first to understand, then be understood. How do we know when they feel that we've understood them? They say that's bang, empathy comes back to us. That's why we're using empathy in the first place, to get it reciprocated. You get empathy reciprocated, you now have trust-based influence. That's the strongest influence you can have. And the empathy is reciprocated when what you just said to them is a complete and indisputable truth. It's the truth. And since it's the truth, then they can embrace it, and that's how empathy comes back. It's a subtle epiphany on their part. There's so many different things. The response is triggered in the other person's brain chemicals actually being released. We're going to get into that flow and the other things that are part of this whole brain chemistry thing that gives us trust-based influence. And when we hit through this, when we get empathy reciprocated, bang, we've got trust-based influence, and now we're in a position to make great deals. So this is a Black Swan Group's deal-making stairway. It's just not, it's just a model. It's just an indication of the steps. And this is a dynamic process. Please never forget. You're probably going to have to hit that's right throughout the process for a variety of reasons, which we're going to get into and how the brain works as we get further into this. All right, so let's give a little bit of love here now to let's give some love out to the New York Giants, because yesterday was Saturday, college football. Pro football. Spent a lot of time in New York. My son Brandon and I are very big New York Giants fans. Let's give a little love to the New York Giants here now. Sorry, all you Patriots fans. All right, so I mentioned a minute ago the cold read. And we're going to stack up the cold read versus how. And how is typically one of our calibrated questions. And it's a good calibrated question, but it's always dependent on context. And here's the context that I want you to think about on how, that maybe how doesn't work so well. Now, down here you see on our first bullet point, how's everything going on the casino? In the negotiation courses we taught in the different business schools, Georgetown University, University of Southern California, we had this one particular simulation we ran for people through on a regular basis called Casino. And it was written by Sheila Heen and Doug Stone, two friends of mine. They've written jointly a fantastic book, Difficult Conversations And also, thanks for the feedback. Great stuff, highly recommended reads. And the great thing about this casino negotiation is it's an internal negotiation between a boss and a subordinate, a boss and an employee, over this computer program called Casino. Who's right, who's wrong, and the employee was recently promoted, and there's all sorts of problems. Very well written exercise, because whenever we run it, people get way into the rules, and they get kind of emotional about both sides. Now, from the boss side, the boss believes walking into this negotiation there's a real good possibility of firing the employee. Boss thinks they've got all the groundwork, and there's a really good chance that the boss may decide to fire the employee because the employee's just been messing up. Now, this is so well written that the employee side, the employee thinks, I got a hostile work environment lawsuit, I could possibly quit, I could sue them, I got to make up my mind. What's this have to do with how's everything going? What's this have to do with a how question? You've noticed in time after time that when the boss is upset with the employee, every single time the boss started out with, how's everything going? The boss knew how things were going, and the boss was upset.
What's shaking in there is the pumpkin seeds, but
how's everything
I think
going?
it's, as long as they aren't violent with it, it should be
I
okay.
think you're screwing up, and before I lower the boom on you, I want to find out if you know how bad you're doing. In this context, how's everything going was a precursor for bad news, which happens in context after context. People call you with bad news. The first thing out of their mouth is typically, how's it going? Because they never say when they have good news, how's it going? They always say, I got great news. So a very significant percentage of the time, how's it going?
I'm gonna try this talking to my kids.
That it's a cover for, look, not only things not going bad, and things are not going well, they're not going well for you, and that's what I think. Give you another context where how it's bad. Working a kidnapping in the Philippines, I'm teaching my negotiators, call the family members up every day and a half, every 2 days. If you got nothing, just tell them, call them on the phone and say, look, there's nothing new. Now this is really smart emotional intelligence move, because when people are dependent upon you for news and they don't hear from you, they're uncertain. And uncertainty is one of the highest stressors of all. The uncertainty is not knowing when things are going to be over, not knowing how things are going. It's really extremely stressful. It's tremendously reassuring to call somebody on the phone and say, hey, just want you to know there's nothing new. It's actually emotionally intelligent. It's extremely smart. And when we started doing that with the people the family members we were working for in kidnappings, they settled down so much. Because they went from wondering if anything was going on to knowing that all was quiet. There might not be any good news, but there's also no bad news. And that's tremendously reassuring. So I've got a negotiator in the Cincinnati division, and he's supposed to call his sister, the female hostage, every day and a half and say, hey, look, Mary just wants you to know there's nothing new. And I find out he's not doing it. I call him on the phone, and I say, hey, man, you know, have you called Mary? Why are you calling Mary? He goes, no. He goes, I'm tired of calling Mary on the phone, asking her how she's doing, and having her rip my head off. And I remember thinking to myself, how do you think she's doing? She's doing horrible. Her sister is kidnapped in the Philippines. They're being held by terrorists who are murderers and rapists and have murdered and raped within this kidnapping. So for you to call and ask her how she's doing, how do you think she's doing? Now that's very well-intentioned, just like the above situation, well-intentioned, but the context is bad because a cold read is not there. You're not reading the situation. When you say how you're doing, when you're supposed to know how things are going, the person on the other side thinks one of two things. One of them is, are you really that stupid that you don't know?
Through LiveRamp, advertiser conversion data is translated to a pseudonymous identifier and shared with StackAdapt. From there, StackAdapt connects the campaign exposure data to the advertiser conversion data and performs attribution analysis.
We've finally reached downsizing time.
Need to do the buying a house, selling a house dance. Not to worry,
You can try to negotiate.
Or why don't
Isn't that amazing? Like, you can't even ask somebody how they're doing. Pack it, throw it out the window, yeah. Good one. I like where your head is at, Londos.
so in
Might be onto
bad
something.
context for what would otherwise be a good question. Last one, how can I help with the consultant? I'm on the phone with a consultant I'm
Going
thinking
10
about
inches on
hiring
this
for
one.
marketing a couple of weeks ago. We've had extensive conversations before we had this conference call, which I put a fair amount of work into setting up. I think I've got everybody ready to rock and roll on this thing, get started. We get on the phone with the consultant, who happens to be distracted at the time he's driving, which is also a very bad idea. Don't take an important phone call when you're driving. You're distracted. And he says, all right, what's going on? How can I help? And I think to myself at the time, where do I start? We've had a bunch of conversations already. I don't know where to begin here. How can I help? Are you telling me, the label would be, it sounds like you're clueless as to how you could help. So what are we driving out here? In your cold reads, when you have reason to know how things are, how you can help, start off in your cold read with a summary of the situation. Give an enlightened, insightful read of the situation. But this is one of the few instances when what is otherwise a very good calibrated question has a great pre-start in very many of our calibrated questions. But the context here, the situational read, how could be a bad way to start off? You don't want people to wonder if you're oblivious by asking, how are you today? Or you don't want to be inadvertently sending signals that bad news is coming by how are you, because, a diffused signal that bad news is coming is not the way to set up bad news. All right, let's move forward. What's the source of one of the most addictive substances known to man? There's a bit of a hint here. It's a picture of a brain. Until I started reading about flow, I've read more about the mental state of flow in a book that I like a lot, if you're interested. It's called The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. Let me see. I know I've got it back here on the shelf someplace. All right, forgive me, I should have that handy, but Stephen Kotler, The Rise of Superman. The mental state of flow, what traditional athletes would have previously referred to as being in the zone. And that's where we really want to strive for in our negotiations, and we use our emotional intelligence tools to affect the flow state of the other person. Flow is so addictive because you're capable of incredibly high performance when you're in a state of flow. What happens in flow is it borderlines up.
I appreciate your input, both of you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ship these two as is and then get customer feedback. Or, not customer because nobody's paying for anything, but I'm going to get feedback. So technically, my way is a bit more, I would call it, in martial arts, I would call it sports specific. So instead of throwing it out the window, which could have a kind of relation to what could actually happen in a shipping process, what I'll do, which is more sports specific, is I'll do a test ship and I don't know. This is not a product that I think would be mass produced by me. Gosh. What am I even doing with this? This type of product is ridiculously hard to come to market because it's fragile compared to an actual pretzel. The gluten molecule is very difficult to digest, and that's why it causes, one of the reasons why it causes so much problems in an intestine. And that difficulty in digestion makes it also more stable, physically stable. So you can't break it down in your gut, and you can't break it as easy in a package. You know, it's literally glue. This doesn't have any gluten. So it's easier to digest, it's healthy, but it's more fragile. Create a viable product? I will. What I'm doing first, before I get into production of product, is writing of the book. So this recipe will most likely go into the book, or maybe the second edition of the book, because it's a little complicated, but some of the other recipes are complicated too. So anyway, one more package, and then what time is it? 1:47. Let's see, I gotta get to the gym by 3, and I still gotta go to the post office. So this probably be the last package.
Which is highly positive. It also, fear drops out. When fear drops out, our decision making increases, our pattern recognition increases. X Games athletes are capable of physical feats 5, 6, 7, 10 times more impressive than what athletes could do 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Are today's athletes 10 times more physically capable? Did we go from vertical jumps of 3 feet to vertical jumps of 30 feet? No. It's pattern recognition, reaction, decision making, instantaneous decision making, seeing things before they happen because you see all the patterns. That's the state of flow. And that's a mental state that our emotional intelligence tools and the reads that we're going to try to get into and affect in our negotiations and in our own personal performance. And this, back to this more detailed, somewhat picture of the brain here, the human brain. What have we magnified? What are we showing here? The portions of what's referred to as the limbic system, which is where the emotions flow through the brain, and then the infamous amygdala, the little thing in red, and it's shown here basically a left side and a right side. Let's refer to this as maybe sort of an exploded view. The amygdala, where the caveman brain, the amygdala hijack, all the things that we've heard about in terms of emotions. Now the crazy thing about this, and I'm going to give you the layman's small town Iowa boy perspective on this. What they found in the studies of the brains with the fMRIs, functional magnetic resonance imaging machines, and the EEGs that trace how the electricity goes through the brain.
What the spect?
That half the amygdala enhances, is devoted to, transfers both negative and positive emotions. The left side, negative and positive. The right side, exclusively devoted to negative emotions.
Wow.
What does this mean? 3/4 of the amygdala is dedicated to negative emotions. 3 times the real estate, if you will, 3 times the amount of space. Now, let me take the non-scientist and non-neurosurgeon's point of view, although in reality, the non-neurosurgeon's point of view, the neuroscientist's point of view is backed up by the way people react. If there's 3 times the amount of real estate devoted to negative emotions in the amygdala, in this portion, the emotional center of the brain, 3 times the space.
Yeah, bite size, that's a good idea.
And maybe negative emotions have 3 times the impact. And in fact, this is played out to be pretty accurate in study after study. Prospect theory, The Nobel Prize winning theory by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Danny Kahneman's book, Professor Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, very much about prospect theory. They won the Nobel Prize for this. Daniel Kahneman won it because, unfortunately, Amos Tversky was deceased by the time the prize was awarded. Otherwise, he would have been awarded the prize as well. Prospect theory says loss thinks twice as much as an equivalent gain. That's effectively a negative, things of equal impact, equal actual value, both negative and positive. The negative hurts twice as much as the positive feels good. Losing $5 hurts twice as much as gaining $5. Now, I said before 3 times the impact, right? Well, Daniel Kahneman gave an interesting interview where they said, well, we think loss actually has more like 5 times the impact. We just lowered the number to 2 because we wanted
Right
fewer
size
arguments.
coming at you.
So that's not 3 times the impact, that's even more, it's 5 times the impact. Another example is a student in one of our classes at Georgetown once told us that when he was in a sales program, they said they had to demonstrate 9 times value to make a sale. Had to demonstrate the positives to be 9 times more powerful than the negatives to make a sale. That's the flip side here of a 9-to-1 ratio, just to get dead even between positives and negatives. This is an emotionally intelligent approach. We're giving you tools, the tools specifically are labels, which is the topic of this overall conversation, an in-depth application of labels, and why we talk about how we want you to use them. So here's what we've got. We've got positive emotions, we get negative emotions. 2 targets of equal size, but not of equal value. Imagine that the positive emotions that we can label and the negative emotions that we can label, neither one is more difficult to hit than the other. Each one of these targets is the same distance away, same size, same degree of difficulty to hit. One target, you get 1 point score. The other target, you get 3 points, at least 3 points score.
Are you constantly overwhelmed with your workload? Look at this schedule, perfectly organized and managed with every task completed on time. If you're looking to increase your productivity and manage your time more effectively, I want you to imagine starting your day with a clear plan, effortlessly moving through tasks, meeting all your
One of the better things that I decided to do in my adult life was to see a therapist. Therapy gives you the tools and
If you're lazy, which target are you shooting at? You know, you're gonna at least take the negative targets into account. You're gonna try to get as far as you can, as quickly as you can, hitting those negatives. Another way to look at this is the brain has 2 speakers whispering in its ear. One about the positive emotions and one that sounds of the negative emotions. The negatives are 3 times the volume of the positives. Now our labels are our tool, there are dials to go in and either turn one up or turn one down. These are the direct tools that we have to reach in and have an impact on the sounds that are going through people's brains, the volume of the emotions. Now, again, remember with this 3-to-1 ratio, when people are on autopilot, the negativity on its own is going to have a tendency to have 3 times the volume level of the positivity. That's their autopilot. So we need to bear this in mind, and this is why when I referred to earlier on the behavioral change stairway, that we probably need to go back several times. This is not a static process. This is a continuing dynamic process that we need to be aware of the negatives creeping back into people's heads based on the architecture that's there. This is the caveman brain that at one point in time was necessary to keep people alive when there really were saber-toothed tigers chasing us down the jungle paths. We needed to be 3 times more pessimistic, 3 times more negative in order to survive. We don't need that anymore. We are not actually being chased around by saber-toothed tigers. We still have the same limbic system wiring in our brain. Now here's the crazy thing. What's crazy about this? What's crazy about it is every positive has a flip side negative. Every negative has a flip side positive. Imagine the power and the influence when you begin to put these things together this gives you. You begin to see in a given communication as having multiple aspects, direct negatives, implied negatives, direct positives, implied positives. You begin to pick and choose which one of those you want to dial up, which one of those you want to dial down. With a little bit of practice, and we're going to give you a little bit of practice in this particular block of instruction, you're going to get very good at it. You're going to find
I need somebody with small hands to do this.
It's one of the reasons why Adam Grant wrote an article called The Dark Side of Emotional Intelligence.
All right.
This specific application of emotional intelligence is ridiculously powerful. It's so powerful that Adam Grant said, in the wrong hands, use your powers for good and not evil, because it's extremely influential in the wrong hands. All right.
Or in the right hand.
Application of labels. What are our labels? Our labels are sentences that start out with "it seems like, it sounds like, it looks like." Do not be fooled by the simplicity of this structure. It's also you seem, you sound, you look. Maybe you feel. We've got one negotiator who works with a multinational, huge company, an internet-based company. He likes it feels, because that happens to be how he's wired. And he uses his labels also to dial up his instincts. I'm wired to hear things. I happen to like it sounds. You might be wired to see things. You might like it looks.
Oh, meta program.
Whichever one it is. Seems, looks, sounds. You see it looks. The important point here is we're avoiding the phraseology of what I'm hearing is we're principally avoiding the use of the word I as we go through this.
Okay.
It's very intentional in this context. Again, contextual intelligence, situational awareness, also known as situational awareness, very important. In this context, avoiding the use of the word I, because I is self-centering. We don't want to self-center. The neutral it, or the more personal you, which is engaging. We use labels to identify driving forces and dynamics. Again, we don't use labels to call names. Like, it seems like you're stupid. Technically a label, we wouldn't use that because that's name calling. We don't use labels to call names. We don't use labels for paraphrasing and for mirroring, not focusing on the content with labels. We're focusing on emotions, on driving forces, on dynamics. The indirectly reading between the lines,
Less product,
sorts of things.
better return means more profit.
You can label your way to agreement because labeling a positive.
$10 they break. Soft test before hard test. Out the window.
There's some slightly different dynamics.
You're out the
but
window,
you could say to somebody, it sounds like you like cooperation. Sounds like you like to be understood. Those are labeling positives. It sounds like you like agreement. It sounds like you like collaboration. Those are all positives. It sounds like you like to accomplish your goals. Those are labeling positives. You can make deals.
Sounds like you want to be involved in this business, Londos.
Focusing on the benefits. You can make those deals. If that's your focus, it's just going to take more work and you're going to leave money on the table. But that's the way that works. In the universe of the brain, labeling positives reinforces positives.
Sounds like you want to be involved in Master Luki
Labeling
brand.
negatives, conversely, counterintuitively, labeling negatives diminishes negatives. Labeling negatives dissolves negatives. Your gut instinct is that it's going to do the same thing as with the positive. Labeling a positive reinforces a positive, but the opposite is true. Labeling a negative diminishes a negative. Not denying. It's very important to draw a very clear distinction between saying, I don't want you to think I'm a loose cannon, to it seems like I'm a loose cannon. Both of those would be labeling, identification of negatives, that I'm a loose cannon. Number one is denying it, which boomerangs it and makes it worse, or just labeling it. Sure, it seems like I'm a loose cannon. I used that specific phrase in an email once when I was working on my book, and we were in the midst of a negotiation. The author that the writer we were going to bring on at the time, which we ended up not using, this is not with Tal Raz, the co-author of the book, the co-writer of the book, never split the difference. By the way, uncredited co-author of the book, I'm sorry, my son Brandon Voss. He was there the entire time, absolutely an uncredited co-author. I'm diverging a little bit. A writer prior to Tall was trying to cut the deal, and I jump in the communications between my agent and the writer. I'm being CC'd. Finally, I can't take it anymore. I shoot right in, out of the blue, without checking with my agent in advance. What's somebody who does something and jumps in when he's supposed to be keeping quiet? What are they often called? A loose cannon. I put this in an email, and I'm happy to say, I'm willing to say, the first time I wrote that email to my agent, phenomenal guy, Steve Ross, phenomenal guy. I wrote, I don't want you to think I'm a loose cannon. Thank God I didn't press send, because I looked at it again, I realized that was a denial. I changed the wording in the email, said I'm sure I seem like a loose cannon. 2 millimeter shift from the denial to the label. I press the send button. As soon as Steve sees it, he shoots me back an email that says, I always respect the bold move.
You want to cross out with me?
Look at the impact of the label. Look at the intended impact of the label. I sent that out in an email to demonstrate respect to Steve, to demonstrate a recognition that there's a really good chance that I was out of line and I was a loose cannon. And I'm fearlessly not hiding from it. That's a great thing about the labeling the negatives. You're showing yourself to be fearless. The other side is tremendously reassured by that. That
trying to partner up?
That builds trust-based influence. Remember back to our deal-making stairway.
Trying to partner up, Rainbow? Hi. Okay. Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you. You too. Physical therapy Saturday at 12. Want to be my partner, Rainbow? Is that what you're saying?
Here the point is, label negatives fearlessly. Again, we get two targets of equal size, not of equal value. Think of how quickly.
Alright, this is the sneak preview. It's not the complete recipe, but
we don't do long emails. We do concise emails. There was one label in that email, and I pressed send. Think of how far that got me when he came back with, I always respect a bold move. Is that closer to trust-based influence? Does that increase trust?
Send me your address on WhatsApp.
Look at the dynamic of the way that works.
Because after I end the stream, I'm going to go to the post office.
Let's do a little bit of practice here. And if we were together in
maybe FedEx.
in one-day training, this is a practice that we would have done. Next time we get a chance to get together, and the next one-day training we're going to do some practice. So here's the situation. Husband and wife negotiation over Christmas tree. Husband wants an artificial tree. The wife wants a real one. Husband's got all his practical reasons for wanting the artificial tree. You know, that you buy it once, you never have to buy it again. That you put it away, you get it back out every year. When you have it out, it doesn't catch on fire. We don't have to worry about electricity around it. You know, we don't have to worry about dry needles everywhere. If we got pets, we don't have to worry about the pets knocking it over, climbing into it, marking it. Any of the practical reasons that a man or just a person who wants an artificial tree might have. Again, you know, a lot of the accusations of gender biases are more human nature biases, human nature problems. We just happen to have genders on either side of a question when in fact it's a human nature problem. That's a whole separate tangent. I don't want this particular negotiation to be about men versus women. The wife, on the other hand, in this is not hearing it. She wants a real tree, and she's not hearing his argument. Again, there's a argument. If you're arguing, you're losing. You need to be labeled. The husband in this case happened to be a student in my class.
And just thinking out loud,
to try to win the day, if you will.
I can.
So, I would ask you, if you're listening to this, ask yourself. I'm going to ask you to ask yourself.
Certainly make them smaller. Also, change the not change the ingredients, but add ingredients like Irish moss. That will make it more durable. Which one do you want, Rainbow? You want the big one or? You want the big one? Does size matter? Rainbow, does size matter? Wow, it's like the Twin Towers. Holy, too soon? Is that a bad joke? Twin Towers? All my profits go to tape, huh? Profits, huh? That's funny. Profits. Profits. Oh my god. I'm so deep in the red. I won't even break even. Maybe you're more business minded than me. I told you I was looking for someone. That'd be cool. That'd be cool if you were. You know? Which one you want, Rainbow? You're a prophet, you're not just a someone. Oh, I was looking for someone special. Is that good enough? Holy. You're trouble. You're trouble, that's what you are. You're not just a someone. It's okay though. I'm not scared of trouble. I've been in trouble before. I've been in trouble deep. Been in trouble deep, Rainbow. Which one do you want though? The big one? Does size matter? That's what I'm asking. Stop playing with me, girl. Stop flirting and ask her out. Okay. How do you know we're not already together, Londos? Why don't you go play with your friends and let your parents do adult things. It's what's inside. It's healthy ingredients. Alright. I'm not gonna throw this out right now, but I'll put it there. By the way, let me show you. I'm kind of, I don't know if proud is the word, but I'm glad that I took a little time yesterday and potted these What are the laws about sending to Australia? Good question. Potted these majesty plants. These are all together here because it was so sick that these were bending. So hopefully I'm able to save it. Not quite sure, but this is my little majesty. I don't know what I'll put in there, but so we need to look into that first. Okay. Yeah, majesty palms. Thank you. Okay. Mix that with my sauerkraut later for dinner. How many pretzels I got left? Okay, so that's all sherry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 8 plus so 17 plus 4, 21. Okay, this time I'm gonna hand count. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 46, 47, 48, 49. 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 69. Hey, yeah, buddy. 69. 69, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 85. Wow, it's a 13 number, 8 plus 5. FedEx will know? Okay. So you're saying I should go to FedEx then, huh? Don't go to the USPS? Dang. How they fell from grace, huh? The USPS. Alright. Send me your address anyway though, so I don't have to wait for it. Okay, I promise I won't stalk you. Look how anal I am. Just gotta line up with the middle of that. Okay. Send me your address on WhatsApp. This way, when I go there, I could just do it. Unless you don't want to, that's fine too. I'll send it to my auntie, my godmother. Ask Doyle. Oh my God, that's your best friend, man. Why are you teasing? I'm teasing. You love Sir Doyle. Oh, that's good though. I'll give him some pretzels too. He told me he's going to a place. I'm not gonna say it on air, but he told me where he's going, and he'll be there tonight. So I'll go see him tomorrow. I'll go see him tomorrow. I'll drop off the pretzels at Cherry, and Yeah. So all I'm doing now is getting my gym bag. I'm gonna go to the post office. I gotta clean the gym. And that's it. I'll come back on for training. My view hours are going up because I've been grinding, so. Oh boy. Wow. Wow. I don't have any clothes left though. Got this one. I guess I'll wear this one. Somebody wanted me to send them a rash guard, so I'm gonna wear this tonight. I'll have the video to prove it, you know, and then I'll send it to them and I'll say, hey, that's your rash guard. You know, here's the video of me wearing it. Okay, one more question. Should I wear the Majesty Palms or the Palms? Okay. I'm answering my own question, or the straight black. Straight black or Palms leggings. Black or Palms leggings. It will cost too much. Send them to your auntie. I will feel better. Really? I thought we were going to be a team. Pretty in pink. Boom. Speaking of pink. Alright. Hey, listen. I'm not forcing you. I'll send them to somebody else if you don't want them. Save me some money. That's fair. That's fair. You know, fine by me. So boom. Got this. I got this. I got this. And I got that. Now I need a balaclava for my head. Bring two just in case. I need a hair thing. Okay, I need a neck guard for my broken neck. I think I have knee pads in there already. Let's see here. I do. Knee pads I got. Knee brace I got. Okay. I also got the hoodie like I thought I did. So take one of these out. 1, 2, put this one back. Speaking of pink, we got a pink hair thing. Okay. And underwear, clothes. All right. Boom. Oh, socks for my let's see. Jeez, laundry day. Okay. So Okay. Alright, hold on. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. You saving money. Oh, wow. Worse than a woman, huh? Wow. Wow, Rainbow. You're something else. That's my armor. I'm a samurai. Okay. I figured you were. I'm also just joking. I don't take offense. Even if it was criticism, I would appreciate that as if we were sparring. If we were sparring and you hit me, you're teaching me. So I take criticism. Okay. I do have to water my plants. Looking a little dry. But I'm not going to on stream. I'm going to end the stream now. And I'll be back in a few hours at the gym. So thanks for being here. Thanks for contributing to the mission. And you can connect with me anytime. If you're watching and you haven't yet, go to masterluki.com, click on the contact button, and then you get all my info right there. Have a great day, rest of your day. Any questions, you hit me up, I'll get back to you. Over and out.